Today's webinar is on the role of academia in promoting quality medicines, especially in LMICs. And I want to welcome all of us to today's webinar. I'll hand over to Alvena to give us a few introductions, and we can move into today's program.
Jonathan, you can move forward with the introductions.
Okay, thank you. All right, so today we have a panel of 5 who will be leading a discussion on the role academia can play in promoting medicine quality LMICs. The main speaker for today is Dr. Emmanuel Orman, who is a lecturer from the School of Pharmacy in the University of Health and Allied Sciences. We also have Professor Savannah Elite, Dr. Abdi Karim Abdi, Dr. Zainab Ali Muhammad, and Professor Mahfoud Al-Bugami. We would properly introduce the panelists when we get to the panel discussion. And so I am the moderator for today. I'm a lecturer at the School of Pharmacy in the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ghana. And I'm currently the vocational training coordinator for the school. I've been a member of FIP for some years and working with the academic pharmacy section. Also belong to some societies across the country and also across Africa, especially the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists, and also the African Phytomedicine Scientific Society. I've been contributing to the FIP Academic Pharmacy section and have served as an abstract assessor and also a poster adjudicator in the recent FIP conference in South Africa. As we go along the webinar, we'll have just reminded that the event is being recorded and live streamed on the FIP webpage on YouTube. You can also find events relating to this on the FIP events page. Whatever questions you have, please drop them in the chat box, and you can give us a feedback after the event at FIP webinars@fip.org. You can also become a member of the FIP. Just go to the FIP site and register to become a full member of the FIP. All right, there's also a new translational tool on Zoom that you can use. So as you see, there are steps. You can turn this on. You just go to the captions and enable the translation toggle. You choose your language that you prefer, and you can easily listen to or get the transcript in the language of preference, especially those who do not speak English, because we use English today as the language for communication. All right, so for today's program, we would have a brief introduction of the main speaker, and we'll take some 20 to 25 minutes presentation from the speaker, then we'll have a panel discussion. Your Q&A sessions, please use the chat box. Any question you have, you can ask as the presentation goes, or later when the presentation is done and we start the panel discussion. So let me introduce you to today's event. The goal is to examine the role of academia in strengthening medicine quality, identify some challenges related to substandard and falsified medicines in LMICs. We'll also discuss some models that have been used by those in academia to strengthen regulatory, industry, and policymaker capacities in ensuring medicine quality. Then we'll look at what opportunities are available, especially for collaboration, so that academia and other stakeholders can come together to improve upon medicine quality in low and middle income countries. The main speaker for today, as I said, is Dr. Emmanuel Orman, who is a lecturer at the Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry in the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ghana. His research is into medicine quality and developing analytical techniques and quality standards or specifications for assessing medicine quality. He's very effective in collaborations and also teaches in the Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry. He's a member of the FIP, member of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, and also some societies across the world. So let's say a big welcome to Dr. Emmanuel Orman, who will take us through the presentation for today. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jato, for the introduction. This afternoon we'll be having a short discussion on the role of academia in promoting medicine quality in low middle income countries. And as already said, my name is Emmanuel Orman. So I'd like to have a start with of our discussion with this quote that I found very interesting and very suitable for our discussion this afternoon. And the fact is that usually when you go to the hospital as a patient, as a client, taking someone there, and then there is a diagnosis to your condition, the expectation is that when you are prescribed the medicine and then you take it, the condition should resolve. But then sometimes you can have situations where these medicines do not work as expected. And that can lead to loss of trust in the quality system. So we cannot agree any further with what Dr. Howard said. I mean, that the quality of the health system cannot be higher than the quality of its medicine. And usually when in low middle income countries, when people visit the hospitals and they come back home, at times they want to quantify per the number of medicines that you have been given. So that shows that you have been to the hospital or you've gone to a pharmacy to get treatment for your condition. So it is very important that today we are discussing quality medicine. And the topic is quite important for us now because we need medicines to be able to address the health problems that are prevalent in LMICs and globally. The quality of these medicines can affect the ultimate outcome of treatment, and so they are very important. Now, substandard and falsified medicines have become a problem for us for some time now, and sometimes as a silent pandemic that at times gets the attention, at times we not get the attention. But this is a very serious issue, and it's a threat to our public health. I mean, aside the fact that there's a loss of confidence in the healthcare system, it also puts some economic strain on the public, because if the medicine is not working well, you would have to go buy a new one. And usually you have to buy the most expensive option. And that comes with extra costs when it comes to accessing healthcare. That is not very good for us, especially in the LMICs, where we are very careful of as to where we spend our money and all that. Aside that, we have the social economic impacts that also comes in, and for that reason, we want to be very conscious of the quality of the medicines that we are having on our market. Now, so there is an increased circulation of the substandard and falsified medicines, and in recent years, there have been a number of reports that have shown that, I mean, this trend is increasing. And maybe it could also be as a result of the fact that there are now increased testing of these. And so these issues are now coming up, either to there were less reports of them, and so we are not hearing much about them. But if you see from the picture that we have here, the global picture, we see clearly these are the blue highlighted countries are places where there have been reports of substandard and falsified medicines or medical products within the past period from 2013 to 2017, and this covers a wide range of countries, which is quite disturbing. And then we look at also the data from Statista. It shows, I mean, the increasing trend in these counterfeit products and then all that are being reported, and that is a concern for us as pharmacists on the international forum, where we want to be able to address this issue, especially when we are administering medicines to our clients. Now, globally, the WHO reports that every 1 in 10 medicines is substandard or falsified, and that is quite worrying. And the burden is even more higher when we talk about the LMICs. most especially because there are at times poor pharmaceutical governance, and then also we have weak technical capacity to be able to test and then and to monitor. And then the supply chain also tends to have some challenges in there, which at times some people try to exploit and so bring in some of these SF medicines onto the market. In terms of the class of medicines that have been reported to, register a number of SFs, we have antibiotics that usually take the lead in most of the studies that have been conducted. We have also anti-malarials that are also shown up in a number of investigations that have been carried out. We can also talk about some vaccines that are also being used for rabies, and then some drugs for diabetes and cancer and then cardiovascular conditions that have also been reported. And from the WHO, which also has been reported by Statista, we have about 267,000 deaths that are usually linked to falsified medicines. And I think a number of these deaths are preventable, okay? And that shows the burden when it comes to the effect of substandard medicines that are available on our markets. So we have a number of these statistics that are showing the damning effect of having substandard products or medicines that are on our market, especially in the LMICs, and for which reason we want to have some discussions about it. Yeah, so aside the fact that I spoke about loss of confidence in the healthcare system, there are also deaths. Some of these deaths that have been reported in the previous slide, okay, there are some of them that I decided to highlight here for us to appreciate. Okay, we've known about the diethylene glycol cases for some time now. It tends to recurring. Almost every time we are hearing of diethylene glycol being an adulterant or contaminant of oral syrups or oral dosage formulations, and this is worrying. They are causing a lot of disease deaths. Recently, we had one being reported in the Gambia, and that resulted in some deaths, which wasn't very pleasant. We also have some reports of poison albumin drips, which killed some persons in China, and then also some glibenclamide products that have also been shown to contain more API content than expected. Some of them to the extent that they have more than 6 times the content and leading to some death. Okay, and then meningitis vaccine also that have also been substituted with water. And you can imagine the effect of this. If we are administering a vaccine and then it turns out to be water, then we can tell some of the effect that this will cause, especially among vulnerable groups like children, elderly, the immunocompromised patients who need these medications critically to manage their conditions that they maybe they are challenged with. Okay, and so there are some very typical SF detections that have gone on across the globe for some time, and some of them I would like to share with us. Okay, a classical example has to do with the issue of Viagra. Okay, and we see, okay, that at times it's very difficult to even visually discriminate between what the counterfeit is and what the falsified is, and then what the authentic one is. Okay, and we have some also reports in Tanzania that have shown the presence of some counterfeits for some anti-malaria like sulfadoxine pyrimethamine, and then also for some other medicines that they detected from some studies that they conducted. Okay, aside that also, in Burkina Faso, they also detected some falsified or substandard antibiotics like augmentin, which was shown that, based on the packaging, it looks very genuine, but then when the analysis was done, there was no API detected in this product. Okay, and for some also, through visual inspections, we are able to pick up some information like wrongly spelling the generic name of the product. And the product is, per the label claim, is supposed to contain penicillin V, but then when the analysis was done, it was shown that it's rather contained paracetamol. Okay, and this is quite disturbing. And these are very typical cases where substandards have been reported in LMICs. And these are the reasons why we want to have this seminar and have some discussion on that. So, what are the challenges? Usually, as pharmacists, we expect that regulatory authorities are mandated and across the various countries to be able to handle these issues. Okay, but there are challenges for which reason at times it becomes very difficult for them to discharge their duties very effectively. And one of them has to do with the regulatory system. But a study that was done by the WHO, an assessment that was done showed that a number of the regulatory authorities in LMICs are within the maturity level 1 and 2. There's just a few of them, about 30% of them that are at maturity level 3, for which reason they are able to proactively monitor the quality of medicines in their countries. And so this is quite a disturbing worry, because then what this could result in is that we may have some SF medicines that are flooding the market, and this could go unchecked because the regulatory systems are not very effective. Then in LMICs also, we have a very critical issue of fragmented supply chains, where you can have some informal supply chain system access, where medicines can be made available through on the street markets, the medicine peddlers, and all that. And usually the concern here is that you can see some of these products that are exposed directly to the sun, and we know the effect of high temperatures on some of these thermolabile compounds, for which reason if you are buying them, visually they look the same, the color is the same, the aesthetics are always the same, but then in terms of the content, probably it will be broken down because they have not been properly stored. And so that is also a worry, for which reason medicine quality has become an issue in LMICs. Then we also have limited testing facilities available, especially because of the cost of some of the analytical instruments that we need to be able to carry out these investigations. Aside the HPLCs, we talk about the LCMS and the GCMS. This will help us to identify some breakdown compounds and then all that. These do not come cheap, okay? And in LMICs, we tend to have some challenges in assessing this. So at times there are delayed detection of these falsified drugs, and that can lead to patient death. Then critically also, we have issues about human resource. There are gaps. Okay? When we look at the number of pharmacists that are being trained every year across the globe, when you compare that to the number of people we have globally, we are I would say that we are understaffed, if I may put it that way. So we do not have the adequate number of technical staff who are able to help us to regulate some of these things. Okay, and aside the technical staff also, I mean, even in the various regulatory agencies and all that, they need people to work there. And at times, because of economic constraints, employment issues are not really tenable. And so what happens is that you have a lot of work there, but you have very few people to do them. And that is a challenge. Then, related to the economic challenge, you have to do with the fact that if we are having challenges with our economics, then what happens is that patients will not even be able to afford the right medicine that they are supposed to purchase for their conditions. And what will happen is that they will in turn resort to options from some of these informal markets, which is quite common in some of our countries. And so instead of going to the hospital and buying the medicine there, they will wait for the medicine peddler who will bring it on a bicycle, and then they will purchase that. And we do not have any idea as to the conditions that these medicines have been subjected. And so it is a problem. And aside that, also, we have some medicine-specific challenges. Some of them have to do with the comparability of the generic. So if you take one generic and we compare to the innovator brand, are they giving us the same effect? And so bioequivalence of these generic products is also something that has come up. Okay, and then issues about cold chain facilities available to keep our vaccines and our macromolecules. And that also tends to have a significant impact on the stability of this product that we have on our market. So based on these challenges, we all can clearly see that if we decide to leave the work for the regulators to do, I mean, it's going to be very difficult. And that is where we want to make a case that academia comes in, okay? And there are lots of benefits that we can benefit from academia getting involved in medicine quality assurance, okay? They will contribute through their research, they are going to contribute through their education, they are also going to contribute through advocacies, and then some innovations and then partnerships. And these are some of the things that we want to have some short discussions on. So the first one has to do with research, which tends to be the core of a lot of persons in academia. So in the area of medicine quality, we have several reports of studies that have been conducted to assess the quality of medicines in the country or maybe in a designated place in the country. And also at times we have some collaborations resulting in some international inter-country assessments. We have assessing the quality of medicines across this country. So, and these are usually initiated by academia, and that is something that is good. It helps us to know what is happening at any point in time. And so when we want to put in any measure to address them, we know what is the baseline, and then when we put the intervention, we can then be able to measure to know what is happening. And so we have some studies like that one of them I've shown in Ghana that was conducted, and then about 66% of the samples that were collected were shown to be substandard. Then we can also have some assessment that have been done also in Nigeria, okay, and then we have also have some systematic reviews that have been done to assess some of the investigations that have been done. So these are also things that academia can also do to help us generate the necessary data that can help inform policy. Okay, and then we have also, and these are just selected ones from maybe some parts of Africa, but then we have also some also occurring in Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America and some other LMIC countries. So these are things that academia is doing and we want to encourage. Okay? And I always take inspiration from the COVID-19 interventions that came up. It was when they were doing more testing. That is when they were able to see what actually is happening. And so more testing, they get to know what the problems are, then they can put in the intervention. But if you have sporadic surveillance being carried out, it becomes difficult to check what exactly is the problem for the interventions to be put in place. So more of this could be done, and so we can be able to know what the issue is. WHO is done, taking the lead in this area, but we can also do a lot as academia in this area. Then, when it comes to education, which is also one of our core mandates, we are supposed to educate our students. And as pharmacy educators, we usually will train people in the pharmaceutical sector. Okay, medicine quality principles could be integrated into our curricula so that the students are exposed to these principles, the techniques that are supposed to be applied and all that. So when they go to the hospital, when they go to the industry, whatever they find themselves after school, they are able to apply these principles and be conscious also of the effect of medicine quality on the outcome of treatment. And for that reason, we have a number of countries that have done this and integrated the medicine quality models into either their BPharm curricula. We have them also in their PharmD curricula, also at the postgraduate level. There are also specialized programs that have even been developed for such purposes. In addition to that, as part of the education, we could also do some community training. We can train those in the hospitals, we can train those in the pharmacies, we can train even the public to be able to learn how to assess some of these features. For example, one of the studies that we conducted here in Ghana, we trained the community pharmacists on how to visually inspect the product packages and look out for signals that could be indicative of a possible product falsification or that. And we did this in collaboration with the FDA. So when they are able to pick up some of these signals, they are able to then report for immediate actions to be taken. And these are things that we can also be doing as academia because we have the knowledge, we're doing research, we are coming out with knowledge and all that. We can share some of these findings with those in the hospitals, with those in the community, and then we are able to then contribute to the fight against SF medicines. And then when it comes to advocacy, which is also a very key area, I want to make the point that, I mean, there's been a lot of work that has been done in this area, and we should continue on, especially by coming out with policy briefs, especially on some of the studies that we have done on some substandard products, so that this can inform policy. We can also advocate for regulatory bills. I came across some report where in some of the countries, some of their academia have been able to collaborate with their politicians to be able to come up with some policies and some bills that have been passed. And I think that is commendable. And I think that's something that we should be looking at. And if through our studies we are able to find the loopholes in the system, then we can advocate for some of these regulations to be put in place. We can also have strategic coalitions for amendment of some existing bills, the ones that maybe are not working out very well for us. So we can collaborate with health professional bodies, we can collaborate with the non-governmental is very critical. Now, I mean, we are now, everything is out there. A number of
All right, I think Dr. Orman is having some challenges, so he'll continue shortly.
Okay, so so on the social media platforms, we have a number of these campaigns that are being initiated, and we as academia can also share some of our insights based on the research that we have been conducting over the period, so that the public can also know, okay, and the things, maybe some tips that you can give to the public so that they can also be conscious and then also be involved in some of these evaluations or assessments. That's something that we can do. Yeah. So then when it comes to innovation, that's also a very big area for us as academicians, especially technological innovations. SF products. So we have very low-cost diagnostic tools that have been developed, portable ones as such. We have spectrometers, we have paper-based analytical devices, we have some electrochemical sensors and probes that have also been designed. We have some smartphone-based medicine authentication apps that have also been designed. And all these go into some making it very easy and accessible for some of these medical quality assurance tests to be performed. In terms of also the process, okay, now with the advent of the mini labs, now we are able to move away from the lab space to the field to now even carry out some of these tests. And so this is also something that was initiated by academia, and we could do more of this. And then one of the, I came across an open access database, which is the Medicine Quality Monitoring Globe, which I found very interesting. And it contains a lot of information on various medicine quality assurance or surveillance studies that have been done across the globe. It tries to map all these things so that as health professionals and also as people who are able to influence policy, we are able to take some of this information to help inform policy. And then we can also be able to design human-centered interventions like community-driven solutions, training local artisans to build maybe clay refrigerators for vaccine storage, and gamifying some of these how do you call it, interventions, so that it is easier for people to assimilate the knowledge that we will be trying to share, because at times they appear very technical, and so when we present them in this form, they are able to, the public is able to assimilate them and then work with them. Then multi-sector collaboration is also very important, collaborating with industries to help them improve upon their GMP compliance, also maybe in quality audits, and then also in the design of maybe some of their products and all that, so that we build quality into the product. We do not wait till the end before we test the quality. And then we can also have academia-led consortium that are also standardizing drug regulations. And these are all things that academia could also be involved in. But there are some challenges, and one of the key challenges is funding gaps. Usually we talk about all these wonderful ideas, and then now the difficulty is finding the funding agency to fund this kind of projects. Usually they have very diverse agenda or scope, and very often it is very difficult to get some that are really dedicated to medicine quality. So it is a challenge. We also have a challenge of policy inertia. I mean, the findings will be there and then all that, but then translating them into actions at times become a bit challenging. The prioritization of certain interventions, okay, may put, for example, interventions on medicine quality, behind a scheduled number of interventions, and that can be very difficult. When you also do not have funding to initiate these policies, they become difficult. And then infrastructural deficit also is also a big challenge. I mean, we talk about all these nice things, and then at the end of the day, you go back to the LCMS-MS, the GCMS-MS, and these instruments are very expensive. So if you do not have them, at times you carry to some extent some of these investigations, but then you are unable to carry out some very key ones like the impurity and the contaminant analytics, and then some of the stability studies also. Then we have also a challenge of brain drain in academia. You have, because the industry may be paying more than academia, you have very talented experts who will now be moving cross carpets to the industry, and then we lose out on their contributions in academia, and that at times also can affect the interventions that we put in as academicians. Yeah, so I would like to have this call to action. All right, as academia, we want to have some priorities set. Okay, we're talking about this medicine quality issues. One of them is that we want to be able to talk more amongst ourselves. We want to be able to create innovations amongst ourselves, and that requires that we partner with the necessary authorities to be able to do that. We also need to mobilize the communities to be able to report SF medicines. And I know, for example, there are some apps from some of the regulators that are able to report safety issues and all that. They also make provisions for reporting on quality issues. And we as academicians should be able to promote these things through the public health campaigns and all that, so that, I mean, there's adoption or there's application of these already existing interventions. In the future, maybe it's a dream, but then we want to have an AI-powered platform that can help us to, based on the the data that we already have on the trends of SF that are being reported in the various countries, we should be able to have some predictive models to tell us what is happening at any point in time, and based on that, we'll put in the necessary interventions. We also want to train more the community to perform some basic tests, and then also to strengthen collaborations among academic institutions, South-South collaboration, so that we can share knowledge and then enhance in this area. In the area of policy, we also want to try and link up what we are doing with medicine quality to antimicrobial resistance and some other conditions. And that will bring out the public health relevance of some of the things that we are doing, and so politicians can buy into them. And we also have to ensure affordable access to quality medicines without incentivizing and counterfeit. So the necessary measures that have to be put in place to assure that we need to be able to do that. And we also want to advocate for fellowship, okay, and in the area of medicine quality, so that we train more people in the area of medicine quality to be able to carry out this assessment and help us to ensure the integrity of our medicines. So in conclusion, I want to say that let's imagine a future where every pharmacy student can graduate as a medicine detective, and that pharmacy student is armed with the necessary skills and low-cost testing tools, and that can help us in the fight against SF medicines. We also want to imagine a future where every healthcare facility will contribute quality data to real-time global dashboard so that we know what is happening everywhere. We also want to imagine a future where every medicine consumer is conscious about the medicine quality and at least can perform some visual assessments and report suspected products to the regulator through available platforms. And we also want to imagine a future where every falsified medicine is spotted as it moves along the supply chain, even before it gets to the patient who comes there. And this must not stay as a utopia. It is something that we should work on as academia, put out the necessary roadmap so that we can build today a better tomorrow. And I would like to encourage that let's collaborate to realize this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Emmanuel Orman, for this wonderful and elaborative presentation. We are happy to receive questions. Please remember to use the chat box to drop your questions. Some colleagues will be responding to the questions as we go. So we move straight to the discussion session. I would want to quickly introduce the panelists and we throw questions to them. I will also keep monitoring the chat box so that when there are questions, we can respond to them. Okay, so the first of the panelists I want to introduce is Dr. Abdikarim Abdi, who is an associate professor of clinical pharmacy at the Yeditepe University School of Pharmacy in Turkey. He is currently the vice director of the East African Association for Research and Development and the treasurer of the FIP academic session. He's also a member of the FIP board, and recently in 2024, Abdi was designated as a fellow of FIP. His area of research involves pharmacy education, rational drug use in hospital, and clinical pharmacy services. So you are very welcome, Dr. Abdi. The next panelist is Dr. Zainab Ali Mahmoud, who is a pharmacist and a lecturer at the Simad University in Somalia. And she has some expertise, extensive expertise in teaching. She engages using visuals and guided case studies, simplifies complex pharmacological concepts for diverse medical students. She recently was elected as General Secretary of the Somali Pharmacists Association, and she's a strong leader in terms of the pharmaceutical workforce in Somali. She's also a dedicated medical writer and a researcher, and she's driven by passion for continuous learning. You're welcome, Dr. Mohammed. And also we have Dr. Abu Ghani, who is an associate professor at the University of Science and Technology, and also at the Management and Science University in Yemen and Malaysia, respectively. He's been a pharmacologist with over 10 years experience in academia and research. and his work is on pharmacological effects and toxicological activity of herbal medicines, especially on the female reproductive system. He's passionate about integrating traditional remedies into the modern practice and also advancing pharmacy education. And this all comes with quality medicines. Additionally, he contributes to developing curricula, which is very important, as we heard from Dr. Orman's presentation, to ensure that it aligns with evolving pharmaceutical research and education. Our next panelist is Professor Silvana Lete, who is a pharmacist with PhD in public health and a professor at the Federal University of Santa Catarina in southern Brazil. The main teaching and research interests are in pharmacy and public health settings, pharmaceutical education, social pharmacy, and pharmaceutical policy services. She supervises master's and PhD students and coordinates research and continuing education projects. Professor Savannah is a member of the National Pharmacists Federation Board, the coordinator of the National School of Pharmacists Association, and also a member of the Academic Institutional Membership Advisory Group of the FIP. So I want to welcome Professor Savannah Lete also to the discussion today. All right, so let's go straight to the discussion session. I would want to briefly go off the slide mode and just have the panelists so we can begin. My first question will go to Dr. Abdul Karim. As you are in Turkey, so I would just want your Dr. Orman presented using examples, especially in Africa and also specifically Ghana. I want to find out how academic institutions, especially in Turkey, the role they play in strengthening partnership with regulatory agencies, how these bodies work, especially industry regulation, in terms of drafting policies and also coordinating drug quality activities. What is the experience in Turkey? Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much, Jonathan, and thank you also as well, Orman, for the excellent presentation. And I really cannot agree more with the title of the of this webinar, and the idea that the idea of the role of academicians in such very challenging topic, the quality of medicine. So when we say the quality of medicine, the process of quality, of assuring quality of medicine is very large, starting from involving manufacturing, sourcing for raw materials, formation, packaging, and as well developing formulations, storing, distribution, administering medications to the patients, and as well also the aftermath of administering medications, monitoring the outcomes of medications and reporting on pharmacovigilance. So all these steps will need necessarily efficient measures to be taken so that we can assure good quality of medicine to reach our population. Now, academicians or our universities generally, the reason for their existence is to address society needs and challenges. And this challenge that Orman has stated related with medications in low middle income countries, whether they are regulatory or supply chains, broken supply chains, and lack of competency, a lack of training, falsified medicine and substandard medicine. These are all real challenges that are not only form challenges in low middle income countries, but as well in developing countries and well-developed countries. Still, these are challenges, and universities can create very good partnerships with regulatory bodies and societies, and the societies in terms of their role of addressing the society challenges and engaging with the community. So I think Orman has stated several ways of or strategies to develop these partnerships. It can be through education, capacity building, and training. It could be through public-private partnerships. It could be through collaborative research and education initiatives, and also strengthening of the regulatory systems through participation of academicians in commissions and so on. And we in my institution, for example, the Jato University, we have in each of these levels that Orman has stated, we have a form of input that we carry as a faculty of pharmacy. We have many academicians that are involved in national commissions that regulate, which is the main TJK, which is the main regulator of medications and assurer of quality of medications in the country. And we have multiple academicians involved in these commissions that go on weekly basis, involved into these discussions. Some of them later on becoming directors or having positions, higher positions in the drug regulatory centers. Also, as well, we have private initiatives or laboratories that work in that contribute to the regulatory effects or work in the country. We have the ECTAL lab, a toxicological lab that through which we contribute to regulations of specific medications. For example, drug impurities. You know that during the synthesis of medications or manufacturing, there could be impurities can appear at different stages. Can be during the storing or the manufacturing or with the handling of medications. And then these impurities, if they reach a specific percentage or concentration, then further toxicological analysis will be needed. So in the first step, you will need, of course, there should be large scale assessments that are carried that can be beyond the universities. But we have some laboratories that can carry risk assessments for toxicological impurities and byproducts that can form. And we receive routinely from companies, whenever a company encounters such impurities, they apply for risk assessment, and we carry genotoxicity tests and other toxicological tests to evaluate these impurities. Then we have accreditation for these laboratories. So we achieve multiple things in this. You train your students in a real case or real problem. You get postgraduates that can come out with interesting findings for research. You find we get income for our future research added to the contribution that we carry for assuring quality medication. So this is an experience that we have in our institution. I know many other institutions as well have different ways that they contribute into quality medicine assuring.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdi. This is good to hear. We, especially in Ghana, we have a similar system, especially at the registration point. The Food and Drugs Authority does not have all the facilities, but it identifies institutions that, for instance, have laboratories that can run specific tests. So the samples are sent there. Even the companies may send their samples there for quality assays before the report is submitted to the Food and Drugs Authority for registration purposes and even for surveillance. So I'm happy to hear a similar thing happening there. I want to get to Dr. Zainab. In your area, one of the challenges we have in Ghana is more or less having medicines crossing borders. So sometimes the products that are manufactured, you may have a system that is able to ensure that you have quality medicines produced locally, but medicines are produced and brought in through a lot of unattended or porous borders. So maybe if you can share the Somalia example with us, how the experience is there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I first want to thank Dr. Orman and Dr. Abdulkarim too. They have shared most of the challenges and opportunities and also like the solutions for it. And as for your question, if I mention like some points how the system is here in Somalia, there are so many challenges, and most of the medications are imported from abroad. And also there's weak regulatory framework here in Somalia. There is the National Medical Regulatory Authority, NMR, for the government that is supposed to regulate the medications, but it is not fully functional. That is why mainly the standard regulation here are handled by the private sector. And that's why it is very risky, as a lot of medications can enter the country easily. Also, another major challenge is like the pharmacy education is yet not well structured in Somalia, and there's not in my area. I'm in the capital of Somalia, Mogadishu. There's no faculty of pharmacy, a well-structured one, and that's why also there's a huge opportunity for academicians to contribute, and both to the education and to the regulation system.
Thank you very much. Professor Abdulkani, you know, I'm happy to see that you have extensive interest in herbal medicines. And most of the time we have a lot of people having access to herbal medicines. The key problem we have here is quality. Apart from the fact that most of their companies are just interested in money and do not build in quality into their production lines, we in academia even are finding it very difficult to help much, because assuring quality for herbal products is very difficult, especially for the raw materials and for the production processes. Your ability to ensure they have reproducible quality and consistency is a big challenge. I'll be very happy to hear from you, especially in the training of postgraduate students, what we as academics can do to ensure that they have the capacity to be able to bring up new methods as suggested by Emmanuel, so we can improve the quality chain.
Good evening, good morning, everyone. Thank you for invitation me, and really you touch a very interesting topic to me in general, and very in how to say, we can say one of the how to say very important area, which is the drug discovery areas. We can see nowadays most of the drug that can be used now in the clinical, we can say more than 50 or 60% originally from herbal medicine, right? So if we look for the challenging, we have several challenging, either from beginning of harvest until to get how to say standardize the herbs. So I think our traditional medicine from different communities, we have a lot of experience, and this is for ancient years or many years of hundreds years they used. But how we can make this traditional medicine in terms of systemize, so that can able to be joining the conventional medicine. So in this case, if we need to focus on the point how we can improve our postgraduate student for that can have, discovering a new medication. So should our new generation, so that have so many skills that from beginning how they can, how they can collect the herbs in the suitable times. This first point, this one, and how we can identify, how we can in each country we can able to have like a herbs institute that can have register all the herbs and make the taxonomies for that, so that we cannot have overlapping and missing the direction, so that from started point we go in the right track. This is the one point. The second point, then if you look for the standardized, the extraction, the herbs, and then we can see from literature review, we do different extraction for the herbs to look for the biological activities. I think the approach nowadays already totally changed, that we need to look for the new technologies to save time and can cut the cost as well. One of the main challenging also cost. This is one. So that point, if we can able to figure out the taxonomy, make the standardize of the plant, we know the main active constituent. So based on that, we can go and evaluate based on the traditional medicine or general screening. We can see what the biological activity, what the side effect. Because nowadays some pharmaceutical companies or other who do herbal medicine, they don't have very tremendous standardized. So many they have so many biological activity without any side effect. No, we have to also have from pharmacy education, we have to educate our community. Herbal medicine as well, they can have some adverse effect, some have some toxicity. So that we have to get a real approach to reach, and this can take a long time, and they have a big experience. If we do a collaboration with an institute, they have quite long experience. Like here, when I say in Malaysia, they were since last 2 decades, they spend a lot of money on establish this herbal medicine to be a product. But in our Middle East and Africa, we have a lot of history of using herbal medicine, but we couldn't able to progress to change this herbal medicine to the product. So this because they can have a funding, and we can develop our research as well. And this is one. So I think, so if I want to summarize how we can improve our postgraduate student, first we have to give the principles, one, and then for how we can start the initiation this research. Then we have to develop the skill, and especially for technologies and all this innovative process using nowadays computer aids in medicinal chemistry now, so that they can really save the time and save our also environment as well. So I think within this point, and do with collaboration with different countries, we have high experience, so that we can able to grow up slowly but effectively. I hope I can manage to address the point. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. It's interesting because postgraduate students definitely must know the basics, especially in terms of training, so they're able to feed into industry when the opportunities come. If we have people who can run LCMS, they understand how to conduct LCMS, or even develop new methods, as Dr. Orman said, that can help do basic screening, basic testing to establish quality and standards, and that is the way to go. So I thank you very much. Professor Savannah, in terms of public health, we in Ghana here, what I remember or what I've seen is that most of the time we try to engage people to let them be aware of substandard and falsified medicines. So we in academia, we can go on radio, we have TV programs, they invite you as a panelist on TV, you hold a discussion. Indirectly, you're able to educate the public on what to do, how to check for, let's say, substandard medicines, or even to query the status of the medicine. Also about sometimes quality medicine is not just the manufacturer, it's about storage, it's about the supply chain system. So I want to find out from your side, especially in Brazil, how the public health interventions are used to advance medicine quality in the space.
Thank you, Jonathan. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So thank you for the invitation, for the opportunity to take part in this important panel. And I would just say congratulations to Emmanuel for your presentation. It was a really complete scenario about the theme. It was really important presentation. So I can talk about my reality here in Brazil, and I think we have very important experience to share with with other countries, other realities. So I think the particular issue you have in Brazil, or it's not issue, but a big thing, is our public health system. So we have our public health system was launched 30 years ago, so it's very settled now.
Yeah.
And it's a very big one. It's a big public policy. It's the biggest big public policy in Brazil. And it englobes the provision of health services, public funded, and regulatory scenario. So we have important structures of regulatory institutions. Particularly about medicines and counterfeit medicines, we had a crisis in the 19th here in Brazil, with a lot of counterfeit medicines in the pharmacies everywhere. And then it launched a big issue in the society. So it was in the media and in political system as well. So we had the deputies discussing this in the Congress and things like that. So it mobilized the society about the theme. So everyone in Brazil heard about this because it was really a big issue in a certain time. And the public system started a very important regulation system trends. So we had the launch of our national agency for regulation. So it's a regulatory agency with regulation and surveillance in health products. It's a very big and strength agency in Brazil. So in every municipality, we have a department that is in charge of regulation and surveillance of health products. So it's decentralized as well. So it's important. We have this in all the country. We are a very big country, and we have this decentralized, but a very strength, a very big agency that is so respected, internationally respected as well. So Anvisa is our agency. So it's something similar to FDA, something like that. And inside our public health policy, we have a very important initiative that is the public funded manufacturing labs. We have important laboratories that manufacture medicines, vaccines, and there are very important manufacturers in the international scenario, like Fiocruz. Fiocruz is a big institution. It's public funded by government, and it's a very important manufacturer. So in vaccines, for example, during the COVID-19, we could develop our, in an agreement with an international industry, we could develop the reproduction of the vaccines in Brazil for all the population. So we had an exceed amount of vaccines in Brazil because we could made it here because we had the infrastructure and we have the health resources. We have professionals very well trained, very well prepared to develop it very fast. So I think it was very important experience to be shared, how to have a national infrastructure prepared to face challenges like that. We developed very well during the 19th because of the HIV facing the issue in Brazil. So the public labs particularly Fiocruz, start to develop their infrastructure and their processes to produce some HIV medicines, because we have universal, so everyone in Brazil have access to all the medicines they need to HIV, for other medicines as well. But HIV in 19 was a topic, you know. So it developed very well. And then the public labs, we have, I think, 18 now, good public labs. So they develop research and manufacturing, medicines, biological medicines nowadays. They have agreements with some industries to collaborate in developing the processes and the technologies to produce nationally biologicals, vaccines, and a lot of medicines for the public health system, and to some countries, for African countries and Latin American countries as well. So, and these structures also offer post-graduation programs. So the post-graduation programs, we have many examples in Brazil inside these infrastructures. So it's a very practical education. And the universities also have post-graduation programs. We have more than 60 pharmacy post-graduation programs in Brazil, very settled. Most of them have projects in agreement with industries to develop, to testing products or to develop methods, to validate methods for the industry as well. So the education of the pharmacists in this particular topic about quality control is very settled in Brazil. So we have this scenario with education. So we have people prepared to, and we have some public funded, very good institutions that is doing it as well. So producing and validating and doing the quality control as well. So the quality control is made here in Brazil by public labs prepared to do this. So I think the counterfeit problem in Brazil nowadays is not a big problem. So we have a set of policies and attitudes and actions that could minimize this problem.
I'm really happy to hear this, because I was going to ask you concerning how academia interacts or works with this public health labs and even the public health manufacturing company. It's interesting to know government is funding a company that is producing pharmaceuticals that at least can assure that quality products are produced, because they will not just be interested in profits, but they will put in diligence because it's a government-owned institution. In our part of the world, most of the companies are private owned. So people have interest in making money. They want to cut costs. And in terms of building quality, there are a lot of issues. So I'm happy to hear that the academia is working very much with these public health labs. But I want to go back to Dr. Orman before I come to Abdi. Dr. Orman made in his presentation, he mentioned this work that they did, develop some basic testing for quality. I would be happy if you can elaborate on what exactly you did and how this can help this was able to help the public in identifying substandard and falsified medicines.
Okay, thank you very much, David. So, the idea was that usually the assessment of quality requires the use of highly sophisticated instruments, and most of these are only restricted to the labs. And so when you are in the community, you do not have access to them. But then we thought that as pharmacists in the community, we should be able to contribute to the medicine quality assurance process. And so instead of waiting for the FDA to come up and say that maybe this product has a quality concern for which maybe they issue a report or something, we should take the proactive action of getting everybody on board so that we are able to at least contribute our quota in the assessment of this product. And the obvious area for assessment in this case will be the product package. I showed examples of some of the falsified products, early, some spelling mistakes, and then also when it comes to even the design of the packages, we tend to have even some differences in terms of how the original one looks compared to the counterfeited one, the falsified one. Now, so because of that, we developed a checklist, and then the checklist contained key indicators from the packages that we needed to assess. For example, if you pick the product package, you are looking out for whether the registration number of the product is on it. You are looking out for the batch number. You are looking out for the manufacturing date. You are looking out for the expiry date. And then we do not just want to see a registration number on the product. What we did again was to try and then find out, because the idea is that if there's a registration number on the product, it means it is registered with a national regulator, okay? But then there may be some products that could, if it is falsified or something, they could still manage to get some of this information on. So we go a step further to verify if this product is on the register of the regulator. So there's an online platform that we go there and then we check if the product is there as at the time the studies was being conducted. And when we did that, we saw something very interesting for some of them. Okay? And so we have an issue also of unregistered product that have also come up because of that. Then aside that, we also look out for security features, because that was a key area for me. It appeared that if people want to falsify your products, usually they will look out for the security features in your product and see whether they can mimic the same thing. Okay, but what we had observed earlier was that it appeared that, as example, for the local manufacturers, in as much as they are interested in putting their medicines out there, some of them were not very conscious of the security features. Okay, so the product can easily be opened. There's nothing to secure the product. Even if, for example, if the batch number is there, these numbers are at times very predictable. If, for example, if you have a 001 and you sample, let's say, about 3 or 4 of products from the particular manufacturer, and it's 001, 002, 003, 004, it becomes easy for any counterfeiter to go ahead and say, maybe this product will make it 005, and it may go undetected. Okay, so we sought to look out for some of these indicators, and then we shared the findings with the FDA, and quickly they started working on some of them to see how they can get them out of the market.
Thank you very much. I want to come to Abdi. So one of the issues we have is government being able to fund academic research. We do not have research funds locally to even support academicians to go out there and conduct studies. Also, in our part of the world, you don't see the industry playing a major role. I know elsewhere, the industry fund projects, research is conducted and it fits into their work. They get to know, okay, this is what we need to do, this is how we improve. But we, for example, do not have much funding from government, neither from industry. So most of our funding is external. You may have to apply for a grant from a foreign body or agency, And this grant, if it doesn't fit into their scope, then your project may not be performed. So I want to see how is this in tech, your area, in terms of funding from government and also industry for academic research?
That's very good question. I guess the issue depends on where the state that the country is. And now that for Turkey, for example, the awareness for the risk of that will come out from lack of quality of medication is well solid, present in, supported by the government agencies and people, academia, etc. So that's why that all bodies will, then you will find everyone will play positively with the process of whenever such an initiative comes from an institution, and the institution will again contribute to this, because it's us who can make this advocacy at the start, this awareness at the start. So we can say, we may say that we need first to, in each case, we need to look at the country and say that, okay, where are we in this scope? Are we at the level that we need to first carry advocacy and outreach activities so that we increase the awareness of the society, the governments, the other stakeholders for the importance of researching and develop and assuring quality assurance of medications? That's number one. When this starts to play, then you'll find companies, or okay, if there is no industries, you have storing, you have large stores or representatives. Most I think most large companies now currently they try to find local representatives or local presence, or local, sometimes generics produced in other countries. But I think the manufacturers will be forced then to contribute into this as the awareness develops. But as Silvana said, Jonathan, the first thing is, I believe is we should start from somewhere. And the start can be, and it's very good. I'm very happy with the with this weapon. The start can be from the academicians. The academicians can start and map where are they currently, and where do they want to reach in terms of medication safety and quality assurance. And then we have all these systems that are supporting experiences, that supporting Silvana's now the case of Brazil is a good example of that this will work, and it worked. There's a country that had this challenge and then overcome this challenge. So low middle income countries can overcome this challenge. We need academicians to work together so that we can achieve this by mapping, by getting used. The FIP is a very good resource for all of us. There is multiple, as you know, Jonathan, sections, groups within FIB. You have the regulatory advisory group, you have the regulatory regulations, science, special interest group, you have the academic section, you have other the industrial pharmacy, hospital pharmacy sections, and many experts present in FIB. As well, other tools like PharmaBridge that can help some of people who are listening to us now, who may be willing to go to to visit Silvana in Brazil and then have some experience with a close experience of how institutions are contributing to medication safety. Or us, for example, in Turkey, will be very happy. I just asked the head of the program before I come to the webinar, will be, can I say this publicly, that we are happy to share experience with people, countries, academicians from low middle income countries, to share our experience of ICTAL laboratories so that they can contribute to medication safety, and he was very happy for that. So I mean, we have PharmaBridge connecting this. PharmaBridge is a program that connects people from low middle income countries to other good experiences that they would like to learn from and then return back to their countries. So I think we just need to start. This is a very good start, the webinar, and it can, and this work has to evolve, and we have a lot of opportunities for involvement and growth in this area.
Thank you very much. In fact, I'm happy you brought the PharmaBridge into this because this is an important initiative by the FIP, and we in academia can ride on this, collaborate, partner with other institutions, so that in areas that we lack, we'll be able to benefit from our colleagues.
Also, Jonathan, I would like to add also there is many handbook and documents that FIP generated, like the handbook for falsified medicine curriculum, how we should input this into our curriculums. There is also as well supply chain workforce planning and competence developing documents in 2018. All these are very good resources that I think the people listening to us can get benefit from and help them in designing programs that contribute to medication quality.
That would be good, so that we share with the participants these resources, especially those of us in academia. These are resources that can benefit us. Let me come back to Dr. Zainab. So you mentioned earlier that in terms of regulation in Somali is more of a private than government because of the lack of or the weak structure of the National Regulatory Agency. So I wanted to find out how these private individuals are able to conduct, for example, surveillance, and how does that affect public policy? Is government having an upper hand, a power over what they do, or they just work independently?
And actually, the private sector, there are some well-established laboratories that are owned by private sector that do that's quality control, but it is very expensive. And also, most of the drugs are imported from outside the country, so the distributors and the importers, everyone, they are all in the private sector. So it is difficult to be managed all of that if there is no government like if the government is not regulating all of this.
Yeah.
So yes, there is private sector, but like it can be very risky to the public.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm happy to note Prof. Joda put some information that there's a colleague in Nigeria who is championing the movement term test and stop, and that is interesting, so that they build a capacity of community pharmacists or pharmacists in general to do basic testing when at the point of receiving them or procurement, so that they get to know the quality of the product before they even stock them. So this is interesting. I'm coming back to Prof. Abdani. You know, again, the herbal company and academia. What we have done in the past is we want to build quality into herbal products. So we in academia, we call them short schools or summer schools, where we invite industry players, especially manufacturing companies, to a school, a university environment, and we take them through basic, like let's say cultivation, harvesting, storage, formulation, extraction. We try to build quality, teach them how to ensure they have hygienic environment, how to maintain sterile environment if they need to, how to ensure they don't have molds growing when they are drying their produce. I wanted to find out how this happens in your area. Do we have that kind of herbal manufacturers and people in academia interacting? And how is this, how effective is this?
Yeah, we have here good experience. There is like a franchise program between government universities and private sectors. We have a few last 2 decades. We have a few herbs like as a government project. One of these herbs, like for example, I can remember Tonkat Ali, one of these famous Katiba Fatima. These two herbs, like big government here in Malaysia, they take like a major project. So you know, when you want these herbs to be a product in the market with all the requirement document, is a quite huge time take, right? So that you know, once you have to do the preclinical studies, after you do the extraction, do all the process, and once we identify the beneficial effect of these herbs in such illnesses. Okay, and we do the standardization. We know which the main active constituent. After that, we have to go for next step. How we ensure we can make these herbs available for industry.
Yeah.
So that should be subcontractor. After that, we go for in large scale. We do in the lab a small scale extraction just for research, but not for, how to say, for industry. When you come to the industry, that you need to produce 100 kilos and tons so that they can go for, how to say, industries. I think here in Malaysia, I got the opportunity because during my study in Master PhD here, it gives a good opportunity because Malaysia is just a grow country, which they have middle incomes, where they have emphasizing in developing they have life a plan to have 30 to be one of the developed country, so that they have for like our country, developing country, we can is a good model to that, especially in how to say, in how to look the general overview the process. Because for us, maybe we are passionate, but for example, in developing country, we lack so many sectors that can help to progress in the herbal medicine to be a product.
Sure.
With the standardized.
Thank you very much. We will be running up in the next 3 minutes, but I just want to give Professor Arinola the opportunity to also speak. Then we can do one more round of just 1 minute brief, or if you have any additional comments. Prof. Joda.
Thank you very much. And indeed, it has been a very interesting time. Thank you for all our panelists and the main speaker. I just wanted to, I already shared about that experience. And I think the experience about faking and counterfeiting is a bit, it seems to be the same across most of LMICs, except maybe Brazil that Professor Leite mentioned, that they have a good system going on. So it would be good for us to learn from each other, and then we can then also leverage on some things that are working in other places. I just wish that we could, and maybe Jonathan, you may take this up. Let's have something like a communique at the end of this event that we can present with our national regulatory agencies or our governments to see what they can pick up from what is working elsewhere for us to have some sanity in our institutions. Right now, we have our national regulatory agency. They closed some open markets in Nigeria, and we have politicians and everybody harassing the national regulatory agency to open this drug market because they're all getting something from these open drug markets at the detriment of people's health. So if we can have something to present at the national level to the regulatory agency, to governments, to our commissioners of health, it may be good coming from an international colloquium like this. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you so much for joining and for this wonderful contribution. So quickly, in a minute, if you have anything you want to pass by, we'll be running up in the next 2 minutes. Professor Savannah, we lost you briefly. If you have any general comments.
Thank you, Jonathan. So I think everywhere we have some opportunities, so different scenarios and different, I think, experiences, backgrounds in the area to see what we can do to help to develop this opportunities. But I really think that we need to have a public policy dedicated to it. It's not something that we can really do in small projects or particular projects or in one university as something we want to do. It really works if you have a public policy to develop. And we need to engage the population. I think it's necessary. We need to have the
important.
population engaged in this. So we at university with the students, the project, the research, we can help a lot. We can help in building a public policy strategy and in building community engagement as well. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, time is not on our side, even though the topic is getting more interesting. I want to revert back to Albena for maybe a few announcements regarding the FIP programs so we can sign up.
Jonathan, you can
just go
continue with the slides.
Just go back to the slides and take it.
I'm going to share the slides again. Okay. Okay. Please go ahead.
Arnold, do you want to take over?
Okay, I can do that. So just to remind us that we're going to Denmark. We were in Cape Town last year. We had a wonderful time in Cape Town. I'm expecting that we're going to have an equally good time in Denmark. So the 1st of August to 3rd September, we'll be in Cape Town for FIP, the 83rd FIP World Congress, with the theme Pharmacy Forward, Performance, Collaboration, and Health Transformation. And we hope to have all of us there. Shared on the slides are links to becoming a member of FIP, links to becoming to registering for the Congress as well. And on the next slide, we have the sub-themes for the Congress, which are sub-theme 1, making it sustainable, strengthening the foundations of global health. Sub-theme 2, making the system work, enhancing healthcare efficiency through integration and innovation. And sub-theme 3, making it personal, pharmacy tailoring healthcare to individual needs. And the sessions in the Congress will go through these various sub-themes as well as open plenary on the major, on the Congress theme. The important dates, we know that abstract submission has closed. The early registration fee deadline will close 2nd June. So if you submitted an abstract and your abstract is accepted, you need to have paid by this date. Otherwise, your abstract will be dropped because they want to be sure of those that are coming to the Congress. And then the 2nd registration deadline will be 11th of August. And there will be live translations in 70+ languages during the Congress. So language will no longer be an issue in FIP Congresses. And actually, even at the digital events also, we also have this opportunity of live translation. So if you need that, you will just need to click on the right link. So thank you very much for joining us in this webinar. We're very glad to have you. Jonathan, over to you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Arinora. I want to use the opportunity to thank all the panelists, the speaker, Dr. Emmanuel Orman, Professor Silvana, Professor Abukani, Dr. Abdi, and Dr. Zainab. Thank you for making time and making this engagement very interesting. We thank all the participants for making time to join us today to keep advertising in the space. So please join us the next time. Next month, God willing, we'll have another event and we invite you to join us for this kind of engagement. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.